Hi, welcome to Voices of Somerville. I'm Sonja Darai. This is a program from the Office of Somerville Commissions and the Department of Communications of the City of Somerville. Thanks for joining us. We try to talk to you about some of the things that are available in our community, and I'm really glad to have one of our agencies that have been around in the community for a long time doing really good and important work, from the Somerville Cambridge Elder Services, Jeanne Leyden, the Director of Family Adult Services, is that right?
Adult Family Care.
Adult Family Care.
Yeah.
And so welcome, Jeanne. Thank you for coming to the show.
Thank you for having me.
And so I know that you've been in the organization for a while, but I just wanted to see if we can hear a little bit about what is Somerville Cambridge Elder Services.
Okay, Somerville Cambridge Elder Services, it's an agency that serves Somerville and Cambridge. We have all different departments. We have a home care department, protective services, age information. It's a place that people can call if you have any kind of questions. Even if we don't have the answer, we have the resources to give you the information to find out what you need to know. So even though we're part of Somerville Cambridge Elder Services, we have Meals on Wheels, all different services, our fall safety program. We're a specialized program out of Somerville Cambridge Elder Services, and we serve Somerville Cambridge, but other communities as well. We travel all over the state, actually. We have families up in Groveland. We have families South Shore, but we have a lot of families, Somerville, Cambridge, Everett, Revere, Chelsea, in this program.
I understand, just to kind of keep talking a little bit about the overall agency, that you provide services for the state, such as protective care and other
Yes.
services.
So if there's any case where you feel that an elder was being abused verbally, however, then you would call our agency and they would refer you to our protective service department.
So that's good. And so a lot of wraparound care that's available.
Absolutely.
And we definitely want to talk about your own program, because I think that that's really a great key for people who are providing care to people in their homes. And so want to hear a little bit more about the program, and then also how did you get into the program yourself?
Okay. I started out as a nurse. I actually became a nurse late in life. Did a few different jobs trying to get experiences, and I ended up in Somerville Cambridge Elder Services about 15 years ago as a nurse for the AFC program. And AFC, what it is adult family care. It's also called adult foster care, and it's a Mass Health funded program where we have a person who needs care and another person who's going to provide the care in the home setting. So it's Mass Health funded. We have two ways of people being in this program. A person who needs the care, a lot of our people that are in this program are nursing home eligible. They need to need cues and supervision with activities of daily living, bathing, dressing, ambulating. They need to have physical hands-on hands assist or cues and supervision. So there's two levels in this program, depending on the level of care. And we have a person that's going to provide the care in the home setting. Years ago, it changed from adult foster care, because it used to be that we used to match families. Someone needed care, we would match them with somebody else who wasn't a family member or anything. And then about 7 years ago, it changed the regulations that a family member could do this. Thus, adult family care came out of that. So we have a lot of family members that take care of family. Like, it could be a child taking care of a parent taking care of a child. It just can't be a spouse or a legal guardian. But we also still match people in need of a home with somebody that doesn't know them. If somebody, maybe is in a nursing home and they want to get out, we have a group of qualified caregivers that we've approved their home setting. We've approved them as caregivers, this whole screening process we do. And then we match them with somebody. And the whole matching process with someone, if you don't know someone, say somebody's in a nursing home and they call our agency and they're saying, I'm advocating myself, I want to get out of this nursing home, what can you do for me? So we'd go through the referral process at our work, and then it would go down to our department, and we respond within 2 days, and then we're out doing some kind of visit within 10, and if people are appropriate, we try to have a 45-day turnaround if we can. If we're matching someone in a home, we do a whole screening process with the individual. We'll go out to the nursing home, or if they're in a home setting, we'll go out to the home and assess them and do a screening and really ask them, what are they looking for in a home? What are their needs? Do they care if they were placed in a home where maybe someone has animals, or somebody goes to church, or, you know, we're trying to find a match so that somebody in need of care lives with somebody who they get along really well with. And once they do that, you know, sometimes on paper people click really well, and then they meet each other, and maybe it's not all that you thought it might be, so then we'd go to another family and try to do that match.
And I just wanted to circle back on the, as you said that it can't be a spouse.
Right.
Why is that?
Right now, they feel like, you know, in general, spouses, we're just supposed to take care of, you know, we're married till death do us part, take care of each other, but there are bills that go to the State House every year that trying to change that law, and we came very close this year to passing that. And if that does pass, it's going to be a great thing, because so many times it is a spouse taking care of a, you know, a partner and trying to keep them out of a nursing home. And with a program like this, they would have a lot of resources that would help them do that. Because the homes, we follow each home with a nurse and a social worker. So our nurses go out, and we're educators more than anything else. Educators provide resources. And our nurses do a lot of teaching and training around medical diagnoses, medications, caregiver stress. We do a lot to try to empower a caregiver, valuing what they do day to day and the importance of it, and sometimes not getting a whole lot of credit for doing what they do. And then we have a group of social workers, so our nurses and social workers really work closely as a team. And our social workers do a lot of psychosocial things. If a person is in need of maybe going to an adult day health program, we know the resources. If they need help with healthcare proxies, advanced directives, we're just there. But the biggest thing we probably do is providing caregiver support so that they're valued in what they do.
And this is for the people who are strangers, who are the foster care person, and also for family members. And
Absolutely.
They both are getting the same valuation and support and education.
Absolutely.
Everything is the same.
Yes.
And like, do you know what the percentages are? How many of the people in your catchment, in your circle of care, are family served, and how many are foster served?
I would say probably about 80% are either family, or maybe they already know each other. It could be a friend. Like I said, it could be a sibling taking care of a sibling, mother, daughter, child, parent.
Everybody but a spouse.
Everybody but a spouse or legal guardian. And I'd say 20% of still matching. When we started out, that's all we did was matching. And we don't shy away from matches. I personally have a psychiatric nursing background, and it's, I just love the fact that we have a program like this where a person who needs cues and supervision for an activity of daily living, like maybe say someone with a traumatic brain injury or someone dual diagnosis, they would qualify for this program as a level 1 client needing cues and supervision in a home setting.
I'm going to ask you, when you say dual diagnosis, what does that mean?
Dual diagnosis, it could be a person that may have bipolar disorder and Asperger's. So they have 2 different diagnoses. They could have a psychiatric diagnosis, 2 going on at the same time.
So it
and we see that
adds,
a lot. Yeah.
adds more need for specialized care.
Yeah. So our level, actually the person level 1, a person with dual diagnosis, we have younger participants in our program that are dual diagnosis. I can think of a young man with borderline and Asperger's who's been in our program for over 10 years. And we had matched him with a caregiver, and the caregiver we matched him with, he was like 21 when he started with our program, and he lived in the Somerville area, and kind of was starting to get a name with the police department, making bad choices in his life. And he came to our program, kind of choices of what's he going to do to turn his life around. And we matched him up, you know, so he had bipolar and Asperger's disorder, dual diagnosis. And sometimes with that Asperger's, you're not always making good choices in life. So we did a whole screening on him, and we had a man that had called us about the same time who had lost his wife and who was looking to do something, volunteer work or something like that. And he had gotten in touch with myself, and we talked about different things that were going on in our agency, and that we did have this specialized program. And he had never had any experience as a caregiver, except that he had raised 3 boys. And after the death of his wife, he really, really felt like he needed to do something. So you figure raising 3 boys, I know myself having 3, grown adults now, you know what it's like, and behavioral issues and the things that you deal with as people age and the give and take. So he had that experience, and he had a willingness to really learn about what Asperger's was, what bipolar was, and our nurses and social workers did a lot of teaching so he would understand that. So we have this client do a whole screening, we have this caregiver who wants to take him into his home. Sounds great on paper. We go to meet them, and it was as good as it sounded on paper. Wow. So this home lasted for 10 years. The young man got a job at Stop and Shop. He had the supervision of our nurses and social workers over a 10-year period of time. And then our caregiver himself got sick, so he was no longer able to do it. So then you're in a situation where you try to find a different placement, which isn't always easy.
Yeah. And so the young man continues to receive care from another
Yes.
place.
And that's one of our most difficult challenges is finding caregivers that will take a person into their home who has a mental health background,
right,
or caregivers who have homes that are handicapped accessible.
Right.
We're always looking for that type of caregiver.
Yeah, so there's always a need for people to be a part of their community.
Absolutely,
right?
absolutely.
Yeah, and then there's also, for example, this client where he does have a good job, that it would be, you want to find places that he could still reach his job,
Yeah.
so he doesn't have to start from scratch.
Yep.
Because anybody starting from scratch is
easy.
always tough. Yeah.
Yeah,
So when
yeah.
you have someone who has additional criteria to try to match them with someplace in the local area is always important. So,
Absolutely.
So one of the messages is we want to make sure people learn that there's opportunity to give to their neighbors in
Absolutely.
this way, right?
Absolutely.
So that's good.
Yeah.
Tell me some other stories about some of the other clients
We
that
have
you know about.
we have probably our youngest. This program serves people 16 years and older. Our youngest is probably late teens, and our oldest, I think, is either 101. I think 101 is probably our oldest. So we have a wide gamut of people in our program. So we have many cases where people are really medically compromised, and it may be, I can think of a family where a daughter wants her mom to stay at home at all costs, and other families members are saying, oh, this is getting to be too much for you. And then they heard about our program, and what they get with this program again is it's a mother. In this case, it's a mother taking care of her aging mother who has a lot of medical problems, who's really complex and wonderful person, and easy to care for in the way that she's accepting and thankful, which isn't always the case sometimes in caregiving. But very difficult for this one daughter, and the rest of the family is saying, oh, probably time for a nursing home. She hears about our program, and what this program again could offer her is support more than anything else. Her mother is a level 2 participant in this program, a more medically complex person that requires more care. So in that case, we have a nurse and a social worker. They go out every single month. In our cases of level 1, not so needy, cues and supervision with activities of daily living, we just go out a nurse 1 month, a social worker the next. So in this particular case, we've got a daughter taking care of her mother. Her mother's close to in the mid to late 90s. And she calls us, we set up the whole appointment interview, we assess the home, and there's a whole screening process we do. It has to meet regulations from Mass Health. The home setting, we check references, they have to have a physical, TB screening, all these different things to say, wow, you are an appropriate caregiver, and yes, this is an appropriate setting. And then we do a whole screening process on the participant themselves, we have to get all the information from the doctors, diagnoses, medicals, and all this. So, and then after we do all these things and get all our information back, all the things you have to do to get someone approved for this program, we say, yes, this is a great setting, and what can we really do in this home? So what we can do in this home, again, is reinforcing and giving encouragement to the caregiver, the daughter who was doing most of the hands-on-hands work. You receive a tax-free stipend for providing this care. So what this tax-free stipend sometimes allows you to have a little bit more freedom, you know, that sometimes caregivers, they feel that they don't have the right to have a life, and that's what we want to try to tell you. If you want to be in caregiving and last for the long haul, you have to start by taking good care of yourself. And so that's what we help encourage this person. You got to take care of yourself and go out and get a haircut, maybe join a gym. You could get someone else in here to help a little bit so that you can have that little bit of a break, you know, and really valuing what they're doing. So in any support they may need as the mother, you know, ages further, and what decisions might have to happen, you all work together.
That's a really big benefit. I mean, to think of, you know, the complexities of healthcare, mental health as well, and then also just all the things that you need to make decisions on, to be able to have the social worker and the nurse to be able to help with experience, guide in some decisions is very helpful.
It is so helpful, and it's so wonderful to really be a part of it, because there's no greater honor if you can stay with the family. And we have people that have been in this program for over 20 years that age out with us, and that when it comes to those final days, that we're part of that whole process with them. And it's really an honor to be involved in that and to feel that you played a part in helping everyone be able to do these things and just being a good resource for them.
Right. And I was curious to know, so do most of the caregivers, are they giving 24-hour-a-day care? How is that working?
Yes, we have, for every participant that comes in the program, we do a safety evaluation. And our nurse will do this whole safety eval, you know, is a person safe to be alone? Can they be left alone? Or maybe they can only be left alone for so many hours. So that would be really based on the assessment. And if our nurse were to say, this person, you know, absolutely cannot be left alone 24/7, then that has to be the way it is. Yet in cases we have families that are caring for somebody, and they may have a part-time job themselves. As long as the priority of taking care of that person is met, that's their number one job, they do have a right to work. We have some caregivers that may be taking care of a person with a developmental disability, and that person may be going out to a day program, right. And perhaps that caregiver gets them off to their bus, that goes to the day program. Maybe that caregiver might have a job in between, and then they're here when the person comes back. As long as there's coverage and it abides by what our nurse has said in that safety evaluation.
So there's more programs that are around day programs. Are there more activities for people with the dual diagnoses, or, you know, day programs for seniors who are not in a nursing home? Are there growing programs, or is it really kind of tough to find them?
There are a lot of adult day health programs, and there are a lot for seniors, and there are a lot for developmental disabilities. The toughest thing is mental health and psychiatric diagnoses. There have been so many cuts, so many different places, that's probably the toughest place to find programs for an individual with that. That again, why this program, sometimes if you can get in and someone with a psychiatric diagnosis meets our criteria, needing cues and supervision, a lot of times it will be a caregiver saying, make sure you change your clothes today and put on clean clothes for your job. Did you take your medications today? Did you shower? Cue, go in and take that shower before you leave for your job. So that kind of thing.
And what about the kind of the mix of, again, the population that you're serving? Is it half and half immigrant community? Is it, what's the mixture of immigrant community
We have
members?
quite a mix. I don't know about half and half, but I can honestly say just recently we were able to help a woman get out of a nursing home, and she was Spanish speaking, and she was in a nursing home where no one spoke Spanish.
Oh.
And maybe one or two people, but basically she felt really isolated. And we did work very hard to find a match for her, and we hit a lot of roadblocks with this match because the person themselves was not illegal in this country, but had visa, different things that we had to prove, okay, can you be a caregiver and all this. So there were a few glitches and a lot of work that we had to do to find out, is this okay? And she's out of the nursing home. I think we're 3 months into it right now. And so we do a lot with our families. We have all different nationalities and cultures. We have even our fact sheets. We try to have our fact sheets and information in different languages, and I think right now we probably have about 7 different languages, and we try. It's not always easy because we don't have interpreters all the time in our own place. We do have a lot of bilingual case managers, a few nurses, a few social workers, but we're always looking for somebody in the family who can speak English to try to interpret for us. And if that's a problem, then we would provide an interpreter, which is a very costly thing, but
Right.
we really work with families, and are working on trying to get some volunteers that could actually interpret for us with the people that are.
So there's another benefit for our viewers is to consider being a volunteer when they have language skills.
Yes.
That's
Yep.
another way.
Yep.
And what do you think of the obligations? That's an occasional need because there's a match pair that are having some language struggle, or you're trying to match people and you're trying to they both speak the same language, but you don't have staff that can communicate with all of them. Is that kind of where the volunteer might be helpful?
Yes, we've had volunteers that have been caregivers actually that speak different languages that may go out to a day program, and I'll do the English and they'll do the Spanish.
Oh, for the
things like that
trainings.
for the trainings.
Right.
Yeah. But the real need we have is really upfront to make sure that we have all the information that we need. And sometimes you think you understand it, and it's not real clear. And we look for somebody that can really do interpretation up front to make sure that our nursing assessment, our social work assessment, participant and assessment is that everyone is really understanding what the other is saying. So this is a work in progress. We're really finding that that's a great need that we have because we have more bilingual, we have all different nationalities now in our program.
Right. Yeah, you have the community just continues to diversify.
Absolutely.
and then they also continue to age, and so
Yep.
yeah, the inevitable will happen is that they luckily find your program and can find ways to stay independent and find a care person that is a good language match.
Yes.
And do you kind of do near language matches where a Portuguese and a Spanish speaker kind of get together,
Yeah.
or so
Yes,
they can
we-
kind of struggle along
Yes.
and
Yes,
maybe
we
learn
do.
a couple keywords?
Yep. And we have people like in our own agency, Somerville Cambridge Elder Services, we have a lot of case managers, and we have the list of everyone who's bilingual. So if we need somebody in a hurry, we could reach out for there. And then we also have a language line that we use in the case of emergencies. Because our goal and our hope is to really be able to serve whoever calls in needing.
And I wanted to ask about so parents who are giving care to their children, is that kind of it could be a lifelong care if the child needs a lifelong care from the parent and they stay in the parent's home for that
Absolutely.
time, and that's how it is.
Yeah, and depending on the diagnosis, we have developmental disabilities. We have a lot of younger people with traumatic brain injuries, and we work with the family too on what happens after. Preparing things if they've taken care of now a grown adult with a developmental disability. What's the next step? Is there other family members that will step up? they're our community residents. So we really work together and develop a close bond with families because we're, like I said, the nurse and social worker are in there.
Very frequently.
Yeah.
Right. And so you have kids with brain injuries, and you have the people who have lifelong disabilities. Do you have veterans?
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you really have the cross section of America
Yeah.
in your programming. So tell me about another family, another example.
We have a case where there's a young man. He's in his I'd say late 30s, maybe early 40s, and he has a traumatic brain injury and a lot of physical disabilities because of an accident. He had graduated a top-notch college, had a great job, had a regular life, like day-to-day life like all of us, and then he was in an accident. And he ended up in a rehab, then a nursing facility, and really a lot of care, in a wheelchair, incontinent, needed a lot of physical hands-on hands care. And he had family members that didn't want to see him remain in the nursing home setting. So we worked with, they have a waiver program, traumatic brain injury waiver program, that we worked with them for about a year to see if this home could be made handicap accessible for him, this young man, to come out of the nursing home. So he was able to after a year, and it was his sister-in-law who's taking care of him with the support of a whole group of family members. And he's home, and she received a caregiver award from us. We have a yearly thing every year in Somerville, and we pick about 4 families, someone that has done extraordinary things. And this was really something, getting him out of the nursing home. And he actually came to, when we got the award, he came in the wheelchair and the big smile on his face, unable to really verbalize too much, but it was just a great experience to see this.
That's lovely.
Yeah.
And that was another question I wanted to ask is, so the sister-in-law is the primary care, so she's the one who fills all the application processes and gets certified, but then other family members can participate to ease the load of the primary caregiver, is that right?
Oh, absolutely. There are so many family members that help out with the whole process. And when we match people and meet people, if we were matching someone in the home, we want anyone who lives in the home or knows them to kind of meet up so that, it's a team approach, this program, more than anything else.
And they're getting so much other care because of the traumatic brain injury, there's probably programs specific for the patients, for their own needs, and so they get kind of a whole package of care.
They get a lot.
Yeah.
But his caregiver is definitely providing the hands-on hands care, emotional support, and all that.
That's amazing.
Great home. Yeah.
So last thought, what do you have as a last thought of what would you like people to take away from today's program? If
you are taking care of somebody and you've been doing it for a long time, make sure you take good care of yourself and consider Somerville Cambridge Elder Services as a resource for getting information. We are so good at that. And then consider the Adult Family Care Program, Mass Health funded. Nurse, social worker, supervises a home setting. It's just a great program as people age, and
that's amazing.
So,
well, it's wonderful to have you on the show, and thank you for taking time out of very busy work to come and share, because I'm sure more people can learn to be volunteers for languages, to be a foster person, or to take their family to the program to get more care. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having me. My pleasure.
So thanks everyone for joining us, and if you want to learn more about it, please follow the directions at the bottom of the screen and at the end, and you'll learn more about the program. Please join us next time. Thanks to George and Steve for being wonderful program producers, and we'll see you next time. And then we'll just chat while they end the program.